Well, I don't think I have any more questions right now, but thank you, Dr. Christie, for everything.
Sure. And Dr. Winters, anything that you want to wrap up with, or any final questions since you've got this?
Yeah, I would just say that I do hope that this. I do hope that this conversation is posted in the members forum, and that I hope people listening will take away the message. Look at the data, look at the numbers and statistics. Time is on your side. Probability is on your side. It gets better, and you don't have to hang around in a miserable place because there are things that you can be enjoying in life, even video games. I don't have the ability to play the Xbox or any of the things, so I'm watching the walkthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, and it's an amazing story. That's a much better use of your time than being angry on the internet, whether it's Twitter or a forum. So it gets better.
Doctor,
that would be
seriously?
My message.
Right. Well, let's not continue this, but I would just like to say that if anyone wants get let's say insight from the other side of the pond, my open. We have a contact form on this website that is available without registering, without using your real email or name. We have a frequently asked questions things on the site as well. All the information is there. You don't need to go to your favorite newspaper and read everything there as facts.
I hope you share my data too.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Of course. We have all scientific data as well.
I have two questions that I pulled from the live chat. The people tagged me in from the live chat. I'll ask real quick. To Sarge, is the incel move? You kind of already clarified this up in the last question that I asked you, but just to kind of go over it again, is the incel movement founded on a lack of sex or a lack of companionship with a member of the opposite sex, which is more important to the members of the community as a whole?
Of course, that's a valid question. Well, first of all, it's not a movement. It's simply a situation. We don't have any aim. Like, we're not trying to change the world. We're just guys who can't get laid. Or get into a relationship, a meaningful relationship. Answering your question itself, it's all about the validation love of a romantic relationship. Sex, if we really just wanted sex, we would go to a sex worker. But I suppose I understand why some people would think that that's not the same, in quotes. But it's not, right? We want a girlfriend that, cuddle and kiss and have fun and go out and go to the movies and such.
And this question, how can you justify a main reason for being an incel is that women only want attractive men when beauty standards and subjective to many factors like personal tastes, culture, etc. apply?
Well, okay. Could you repeat it one more time?
Sure. How do you justify that one of the main reasons that people are incels is that women only want attractive men when things like standards, personal tastes, culture, etc. also come into play?
Thank you. Well, there's two things I want to say there. One, I don't say that all girls just want hot guys. That's a very vast generalization. I'm sorry, you actually, Christy, laughed when I say generalization. What I mean by generalization is that I'm not saying that all girls are like that, literally all of them. I'm just saying the majority. In general, when a girl looks at a guy, if the guy is very attractive, she's going to be far more interested than she is not. There are unattractive guys with girlfriends, of course, and no one is saying that it's impossible. It's just very unlikely. So I'm not justifying.
Well, you're talking about a
like
specific kind of woman, because women are married and there are lesbians, and so when we talk about you're getting a narrower and narrower pool when you're trying to generalize about women. That's one of my critiques, just in terms of how you generalize.
Right. Thank you, Dr. Christie. Continue.
Somebody just posted this question in the live chat, and I don't know if I want to open that. Okay. What are your views on some people from the trans community? Like, if how would your policy with not allowing females in, how would all of that come to play with someone who was from the trans community? Or have you had an issue with that?
Not so far. I mean, as I said, the fact we don't allow females have nothing to do with hatred or any negative emotion towards them. It's simply the fact they don't have a place in our forum. As for trans people, I have nothing against them. I mean, I'm sure they did what they did for a reason. As for whether we would allow them or not, I actually would have to think about that. I don't think we have had a case yet, though I couldn't be sure. We have many moderators, so maybe other people have that case. But I mean, personally, I'm fine with them.
Okay. And Dr. Winters, while I have you here, I don't want to close out the show without touching on some points from feminism, because I think people today have sort of like almost with the incel community, maybe, where people get sort of the part of the wing of feminism that is the extreme, and so that in turn becomes what people think when they think of a feminist, the feminazis, that sort of thing. Can you kind of explain what your beliefs in feminism and what feminism is to you personally?
Sure. I think that for me, most recently, the best way to exemplify it is the women's marches that happened all over, not only the United States, but happened globally as well. And one of the amazing things about the women's marches is that it wasn't just women. There were men there. I was actually there myself for the first one in DC with Steve Shives. He was my march buddy, and Chrisiosity was there too, but we got separated by the crowds. But it wasn't one thing in that group. It was people marching for Black Lives Matter, for immigrant issues, for women's health, for Obamacare and healthcare, for criminal justice, for economic reform, increasing the minimum wage. It represented the fact that equality touches every part of our lives. And so because feminism is about, it comes from a place of believing that men and women have that we start off as human beings as equals. All human beings start with a certain inalienable rights that it's, we construct them by society, but it's a right, it's a legal, and I think a human right, morally as well as if not, legal in law. And one of the ways that we have seen discrimination practiced in terms of history and power in economics has been based on sex. And we've inherited that history and the attitudes that went with it, patriarchal attitudes about men being superior because they're men. It's a bit tautological. It's like saying a bachelor is a single man. Why are men in power? Because they're men. And we realize that's not a really good basis for power. And democracy, for instance, is a much better basis for power. And so I think feminism touches all parts of our lives, and that is represented in the Women's March. And that's why also as a movement, it's been able to go forward and adapt to issues, because it's not one thing and it's not about one group. It's actually about how we live our lives and how we're in some ways trapped by the history, these sexist, outdated attitudes, and how we can free ourselves and each other by letting go of them and trusting in our each other's equality.
And Sarge, is there anything that Dr. Winter said that you would disagree with fundamentally in her explanation of feminism, or your view of how you kind of see it?
Well, I'm sure just like our community doesn't like to be labeled by outsiders, I would not dare label feminism by my personal views. I certainly have my own definition of feminism, but that's things that I've gathered from outside sources. So I'm sure if Chris Lee says say so, it must be that way, right?
Okay. I'm going to pull up see the super chats real quick. Steve, do you have anything that you want to announce?
No, I'm going to wait for the super chat. No, I think I'm going to hold off here a little bit. Let's get to the super chats, and maybe we can talk about those a little bit.
Well, while I pull those up, sure. While I pull those up, guys, I'm going to let you take a couple minutes to say any last minute thoughts that you have. Wrap up kind of anything that comes to mind, and then once again let everybody know where they can find out either more about the incels as a whole with the forum, or Dr. Winters, anything that you've got coming up, and we'll start with you whenever you're ready.
Who's you?
Dr. Winter. I'm sorry, Dr. Winters.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to step on anyone's verbal,
My apologies.
Right. So again, yeah, you can. No worries. You can find me on Twitter at kwinte, and also, like I said, I have my YouTube channel. Of late, in addition to me watching on YouTube Red Dead Redemption 2, I've been getting into hip hop, and so I did some video chats where I talk about a bunch of stuff, including rap battles and diss battle and the diss tracks. But I guess the thing I got coming up more recent in the near future is doing a critique of the funding scheme that I see Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin putting together to replace Patreon. So that might be coming up in the next day or two. That'll be fun. I'm sure that won't get any blowback.
I have no doubt. All right, Sarge?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's been very nice being here. And as for how to contact me, I'll repeat that our website is incels.is, and you can contact me at sargent@incels.is. For more information about the incels, you can go to our website to check the rules or the contact form at the bottom of the page, which will me directly, and that will be all.
I think, and before I read these super chats, I think that I would be. It wouldn't make any sense for me not to ask this question, and I had it written down. I just we got so caught up in the conversation. What happened with the? Because I know people are going to be asking why I didn't ask this question. What happened with the forum in terms of switching from incels.me to incels.is? Like, why was there a switch over there? Do you want to speak to what happened there?
Yes, it's a very regrettable thing. Actually, the same thing that happened with Reddit. I guess that our registrars thought that we were being bad PR because, well, most people seem to think that incels equals terrorist or evil, creepy person. So, as a registrar, they think that having incels there is a very bad PR move. So they kicked us off. We had been there for over a year and nothing happened. So obviously it wasn't because of something illegal. They just didn't want us there anymore. So we had to make the switch. They actually kicked us out, which is very regrettable.
Okay. Let me see here. Jason Stringer, thank you for the super chat, asks, how do incels feel about mail order brides? That seems like a perfect fit.
I mean, I don't know how the whole thing works. I know it's actually a very legitimate thing in other parts of the world, mainly East Asia, I suppose. I don't know. It's fun to think about, but but I don't know how it will work in practice. Not only legally, but just having a person that you ordered via mail. I don't know. The morally,
it's also very financially limiting.
Sure, yeah, I suppose that would be kind of expensive.
Well, look at that. We're both on that kind of money. Sarge. We're both kind of. No, I was just like that's nice. Sarge and I both feel kind of icky about mail order bride. That's nice.
Boom, good. And I asked the question in the title of this video. Is there any common ground? And it overjoys me to know that we found that mail order brides is the middle ground here. So this was productive.
That's why I thought I'd pipe up. Yeah, I thought I'd pipe up for that.
I am.
Okay, let's see. Bill Ashby says, Steve, you've had enough sex not to need Tinder. That's questionable. Noble Athenian.
Not in the last year. Okay, trust me on that one.
Noble Athenian, we don't need to know anymore. Noble Athenian says, is this really a thing? Yes. Brian Stevens, there is only missionary. All others are from Stan. I would love to know the context of that. Brian, context. Blue Sir the Fox. I'm disabled myself and have problems with my looks. Women/men only caring about looks aren't worth being with anyway. It's not a problem with women. It's a problem with shallow people. A good attitude helps a lot. Anything you'd want to say back towards that, Sarge?
Yeah, actually, something that I didn't mention is that personality ends up mattering a lot in long relationships. Once the relationship is already established, personality ends up being the biggest factor. But however, the problem with incels is that they can't get one in the first place. So personality never comes into play. It's all about, well, in general, it's about appearance. So if you can't find girls, I understand.
I know a lot of women who fall in love with guys that they were friends with for a long time, and then they kind of looked at them differently one night and what